The MetaConnect keynote came and went, giving those of us Quest lovers very little to look forward to so far. Although one detail barely mentioned by Boz showed the future spatial UI navigation. Before we get too excited that this is something that they're showing off as the future, we do want to remember last year's Connect, they showed off the Navigator, and that came out to very little applause and some frustrations this year, reminding us that maybe we don't always want the changes that we're given. And this new UI does look to be kind of an evolution of the Navigator system. It does look a bit more intuitive though. This shows off a UI that can be over any app, any game that's going on inside the headset, something that won't necessarily be competing with your other 2D windows you might have up at the time, or getting pushed out or being left across the room, as I often do and have to go find it. It's funny that I'm saying that about a virtual menu in a room. What a time we live in. But hopefully this is them taking the Navigator people were in love with back to the drawing board and finding something more useful for all of us. A new Hyperscape feature, which we did cover in last week's news, but we'll touch on briefly. Basically now you can take your Meta Quest 3 or 3S and scan any room in your real life, let it run through Meta's servers processing, and then you can recreate photorealistic visions of your actual room like we've seen before, but it wasn't allowed for personal use. People on Reddit and other places talking about how this is cool, but just scanning your own rooms in your home really aren't the most amazing uses of this. Imagine being able to walk through real castles in real life, or how this could preserve specific memories of places you've been or ways you had things in your life maybe before you move. It's a neat concept, something you really have to try for yourself to see how well it works and see how amazing it can be. And as V81 has been continuing to move around the public test channel and show off what we can look forward to inside the Quest, seeing some new and useful features like trying to move on from the old Rift Dash interface and seeing your Quest Link PCVR games showing up directly in your OS inside the headset. I mean, you can just click that, jump right into a game that you have wirelessly linked up to your PC instead of having to go through the extra steps of opening the Rift Dash and all of that, making wireless PCVR a much easier thing for those of you who are trying it. Although if you're one of the many who struggles with your Wi-Fi being reliable, we'll talk about some options later in the video for that. Discord finally making its way to the Quest. I know Xbox and PlayStation waited so many years it felt like, and not a lot has been said about Discord yet, but seeming as it's going to be an actual native app and not just something like Spotify where you're kind of opening an extra web browser, web app container. Obviously, a lot of people were waiting for a new headset this year, some sort of headset, if not a Quest 4, which we pretty much knew wasn't coming, but maybe a high-end Quest 3 Asus ROG headset. We did get to go try some prototype headsets that do lead towards Quest future though, and it does feel like it's much brighter than even we were thinking. If you missed that video, I'll leave a link to it at the end of this one for you to go check out too. If you've been trying PCVR and you're sick of having wires running all around you or having Wi-Fi issues, there's a new Puppis S1 Lite specialized router. This is similar to the Puppis S1 you've already seen around, but a light version that is cheaper at under $50. You can get it directly through PrismXR.com, or you can now get it on Amazon, which so far has a perfect 5-star review on it too. And what this does is this just plugs into your Ethernet core that you have already. You plug in the power, and this thing makes a direct connection from your PC to your headset wirelessly. That means you're not dealing with all the headaches that you're dealing with normally of Wi-Fi interference, slow band issues. This makes its direct own connection that won't have any other device in your house interfering with it. They've also got a desktop app with it now that will scan your room and see what's going on if you are having any Wi-Fi interference to help you make this thing run even smoother. And it's not just for the Quest 3, it's also for the 3S, the 2, the Pro, Pico 4 headsets. And it basically just makes wireless PCVR really easy, especially if you have like a head strap that has a battery on it. You can still have that battery plugged into your headset and you're not worrying about your headset dying while you're doing PCVR, because that's a problem with a lot of PC link cables. This is from PrismXR, who we've liked other accessories of theirs, docks and stuff too. They're going to send us this S1 Lite as well, so watch out for that. We will have a full review coming. Thanks to them for sponsoring this week's news and for continuing to help people have a better experience in VR. All of this attention in the XR industry is bringing big names back into the game at least, and now an announcement that Hideo Kojima is partnering up with Niantic Spatial on a multiplayer AR game. Hideo Kojima, of course, one of the biggest names in the gaming industry, and Niantic, makers of the wildly huge Pokemon Go. Although Niantic has made some forays into headset stuff so far, and although Pokemon Go is an amazing revolution for AR and phones, their free pet simulator Hello Dot that came out to Quest before hasn't been nearly as popular. We talked about that briefly in our most recent free games list. I'll leave a link at the end of the video to that if you want to watch that. But it shows that not always everything AR from phone translates over to headset perfectly, but still exciting. Basically, during Kojima Productions event in Japan, they talked about how Niantic and Kojima are having a partnership to leverage Niantic Spatial's geospatial AI technology to bring Hideo Kojima's iconic storytelling into the real world. Does this mean you're going to be able to run through the real world, reliving Death Stranding, trying to balance all of your weight packs all over your body in real life? The announcement video is extremely vague and really doesn't give us much to go on, but something that looks like it could be hinting towards AR glasses and being out on hikes and seeing digital assets over the things you do in real life with friends. Sounds more like something that's trying to get us back outside, out of our headsets, and not necessarily anything that just VR lovers would like. But I'm interested. We'll be following what this is and letting you know. Speaking of that hope of new quests earlier that we missed out on at Connect, Meta did announce that they are still coming. Basically, at Meta Connect, Meta spokespeople did talk to journalists and said that those are still happening, with talks that maybe this will be a way to bridge that gap for those of us waiting for a Quest 4 that probably won't come until 2027 at least now. We could see more pro-style headsets from gaming companies like Asus or the Lenovo productivity-focused headsets they talked about over the next couple years to help more Quests come out and keep the hype going. This is an interesting thought because for so many years we've gotten used to the Quests coming out almost every single year. Although that does create a lot of hype for the industry, it can leave developers and everyone feeling really alienated. Not only that, but if you don't remember the early days, the Quest originally came out in 2019 at $400 and the Quest 2 came out 1 year later in 2020 for $300. Not that wild if you think of Quests like smartphones, but if you think of them like gaming consoles, I mean, a PS6 to come out a year after the PS5 and to be cheaper than it, completely unheard of. But this means that if we really go until 2027 before we get a Quest 4, this will be the longest we've ever seen in the Quest life cycle without a new headset. Even if Asus did come out with a ROG style headset that had eye tracking, face tracking, and more features, but was more expensive than the Quest 3, I feel like it would be a hard sell or a hard recommend, because most likely if that Quest 4 is a few years away and if it's going to cost any more in the Quest 3, it seems like it would be better to save up for that. And even if they add eye tracking or something to an Asus headset, developers would still have to integrate that. It's something that wouldn't be as native even as it was in the Quest Pro, and we saw very little support for it on the Quest Pro. We'll keep you posted here, but at least it seems like some kind of headset is coming in 2026, although it seems like it's going to be more of an ultralight, possibly wide field of view, cabled headset or some sort of tether, whether wireless or wired, and probably nothing quite like the Quest 4 anyone's imagining. If you're still out there wanting a Quest 3 to upgrade from that Quest 2, you have a Quest 3S, or you just want a second one to get, we are still about to give away our summer Quest 3 right now. We're only days away from that competition ending, so if you haven't already entered, there will be a link down below to go check that out. And I'm curious, what do you want to see next? We've given away Quests for quite a while. That kind of started back in the Quest 2 era when we were getting way more than we needed of them, and then we've since given away a lot of Quest 3s out of pocket here on the channel just to thank all of you for all of these years of support. But I also have tons of accessories, which we've done local giveaways and given them away to people in person because it's so much work to ship all of those. But what do you want to see out there? Let me know in the comments. If you're on the fence about Horizon Worlds or the AI generation that's budding, well, this news might not be for you. But basically, we've kept you informed about how they're allowing AI generation in Worlds to make Worlds much easier for people to create. And now, as people are getting to try it, they're reporting back that it's a little unhinged and will let you do pretty much whatever you want with AI. Seeing the sudden transformation of Worlds here is something that seems pretty exciting as a gamer getting to go explore these worlds, but so many debates about what AI does to jobs. Of course, it falls into the same debates about data and what's being kept, just like these new room scans people are able to do with their headsets now. But this new upgrade AI assistant is supposed to be able to generate in a matter of seconds or minutes exactly what you want for your world without you having to design it yourself or go buy assets somewhere else. Even generating custom NPCs that can have conversations. This is all thanks to the new Horizon engine, which is getting away from Unity and allowing those 4 times faster loading times that they were talking about at Connect, where more than 100 people can be in worlds now at the same time. If you are a Horizon creator and you want to enter into the beta for this and check it out, you can sign up for that. But it is wild to think about what this can do for game development and stuff if people can just say their idea and pretty much see it come to life instead of having to design every aspect of it. And speaking of what's going on in Horizon Worlds, a very odd twist has happened recently where they have dropped a new game called Super Strike based on the popular Super Rumble that you may have already played in Horizon Worlds if you spend any time on that. But so far, Super Strike beta is only a mobile game, possibly explaining why so many Horizon mobile creators were actually at Connect this year. Super Strike is in beta and it's mobile/PC only. Looks very similar to the same graphical style that we've seen in Worlds and the games there. But of course, people in the comments immediately questioning, when's it going to be available on the headset? How is this only mobile, only PC? A surprise, but early reviews so far saying it is pretty cool, immersive, fun. I don't do much mobile gaming personally, unless you count the Quest itself as mobile gaming, with some games that probably could classify. But if you've tried Super Strike, let me know what you think. With all that, it's good for more news to be coming out, especially since the Meta keynote was mostly about the new glasses and AI and all the other things out there. But what are you thinking about in the VR world right now? What's interesting you? Are you keeping up with some of this Steam frame stuff that's going on? We'll talk about that more hopefully next week. But once again, I want to say thank you for being here with me. I'll see you in another reality.